Welcome to Southwest Florida Real Estate Update, hosted by local realtors Jim, Michael, and Morgan York of the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty. Our show will bring you the most up-to-date information on the local real estate market, featuring the leading experts in the real estate field.
Hi, and welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. I'm Michael York of the York Real Estate Group, and today we're joined by our host, Jim York, and his guest, Don Ross Jr., President of Ross Title and Escrow.
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction. Well, Don, mortgage contingencies is always a problem, I think. So explain what is a mortgage contingency.
It's a method to protect the buyer's deposit. That's really all it is. I get a number of owners who get morally outraged when they find out the buyer is applying for a mortgage on their $1 million purchase when it was designated as a cash contract. And they ask me, is that ethical? Is that legal? Can they do that? And I say, it is moral, it is ethical, it is legal. The only purpose for this contingency is if the buyer has some concern over whether or not they're going to be able to pay for the purchase, whether they're borrowing from their Uncle Fred or a bank, or they got cash in the bank. If they have no concern over it, the buyer knows, and the selling agent, somebody like yourself will tell them, you are more apt to have your offer accepted if it looks clean, if it looks solid. If it's a big deal and there's no contingencies and it's a form, you're more apt to get it accepted, especially if you have a good deposit. So there's nothing wrong with it. The mortgage contingency in the NABOR contract, the Naples Board of Realtors contract, gives the buyer a certain number of days to apply, and the default language is 45 days to waive the financing contingency if they feel like they're getting the mortgage. Formal commitments seem to be a dinosaur. You don't see too many of them anymore. So the buyer has 45 days to waive the financing contingency. Lots of times I'll tell my buyer, don't waive it if you don't have to. Do you think there's another buyer out there who might try to steal this property from you? If not, if you don't know the lender and they haven't gone through their underwriting process already, you just never know with all the governmental restrictions these days whether or not there's going to be a glitch. My job is to assume there's going to be a glitch.
That's right.
So don't sign it if you don't have to. If they're really being pushed and there are other people trying to make an offer on the property, then the way I explain it to my buyers is you have to decide whether you're willing to risk losing the deal, the seller terminating and selling it to somebody else, or whether you're willing to risk losing the deposit. And if the deposit is small, $5,000, $10,000, in that range, they might say, I'm willing to gamble that. Okay. That's all you lose under the Naples Board of Realtor contract is the actual deposit made. And go forward. But it's really a business decision, and everybody's different.
So if they don't sign the waiver contingency and they still don't get the mortgage, they get their deposit back.
If they don't sign the mortgage contingency and they don't get the mortgage, they do not get their money back if they fail to close. They signed a cash. If this were a cash contract,
right,
is that what you're asking me?
Well, I know on the cash, if they signed one with a mortgage contingency.
Oh, if they sign it with a mortgage contingency and they don't get the mortgage, the buyer has to come up with a letter of adverse credit action taken by the creditor or the lender. In English, what that means is they need a letter from the bank saying why they're being turned down for their loan. And there's two areas in the Naples Board of Realtors contract that you can rely on. One, there's something wrong with your personal finances. Your excessive debt, insufficient income, something like that, or there's something wrong with the real estate, and that could be a low appraisal, it could be inadequate reserves, too little a portion of the current budget being allocated to reserves, something to do with the real estate.
Right.
So letter of adverse credit action, something from the lender explaining why, and occasionally I get one. I had one actually a week ago, where the lender said, unable to verify employment, which is a huge red flag. It seems to imply that the borrower did not cooperate with the lender. They didn't make a good faith effort. In that situation, the owner of the property ended up with the $5,000 deposit. So if the buyer doesn't try their darndest to get the mortgage,
Right. They
the
can
owner
lose that.
has a claim against the deposit.
Well, that clears up a lot.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks for
Welcome.
coming on the show
Anytime.
today.
Anytime.
Looking for a real estate closing agent in Southwest Florida? Ross Title and Escrow has over 25 years experience and has closed over 20,000 residential real estate transactions. Donald Ross Jr., president of Ross Title and Escrow and a practicing attorney in the state of Florida with a degree in taxation, is here to service your needs. Call Mr. Ross or one of our 4 closing agents for a free consultation today.
Thinking of buying or selling a home in Naples, Marco Island, Bonita, or Estero, Florida? Think of the most experienced York Real Estate Group, associated with the #1 brokerage in Southwest Florida, Downing Fry Realty, which produces yearly real estate transactions of over $1 billion. Jim, Michael, and Morgan make up the York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty, with over $275 million in sales transactions, along with offering over 25 combined years' experience in the local market. The Yorks can offer the experience and trust you need in a realtor. Call them today at 239-273-6727 or visit their website at www.naplesyorkrealestate.com.